Assembly that state security structures will be more than willing to avail themselves to the Commission.
And as I table this vote, we want to commit that SSA and all the national intelligence structures that I'm responsible for will avail ourselves to the Judge Matlanga Commission of Inquiry as announced by the President.
Nchabeni says her department is also addressing malfeasance within intelligence as well as allegations of unethical conduct. Babalo Ndenze, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Eskom says the process to return Koeberg Unit 1 to service has been extended due to additional steam generator maintenance. The unit is currently offline for the second phase of its long-term operation maintenance program. Eskom initially said the unit was expected to return to service by this month, but is now only scheduled back online by the end of next month. The power utility says the revised timeline underscores their commitment to conducting thorough inspections and maintaining high-quality standards. Eskom spokesperson Daphne Mokoena.
The revised return date for Koeberg Unit 1 will not increase the risk of load shedding. The winter outlook released on 5 May, which covers the period until 31st August, remains valid. The outlook shows that load shedding will not be required if unplanned outages remain below 13,000 megawatts.
Parents at the Knights Preparatory School in Randburg have been called to collect their children after a fire broke out at the school. The blaze ripped through the hall of the school this morning. Emergency services have managed to contain the fire. It's unclear what caused the blaze, but investigations are underway. The school's owner, Warren Swart.
Our security, TAC 54, were contacted as soon as we executed the fire drill. And then they came through and they then contacted both private and state fire personnel. They must have arrived within 5-6 minutes and then they contained the fire.
In the US, a federal jury is set to decide whether Tesla is partly to blame for the death of a young woman who was hit by an electric car. The 22-year-old and her boyfriend were stargazing in Florida when the Tesla, which was on autopilot, crashed into them in April 2019. Jury selection got underway yesterday, and the judge said the trial will end at the end of this month. Lawyers argue that the car's driver assistance feature should have warned the driver and hit the brakes before the collision. Gold is trading at $3,362.81 an ounce. The rand's at 17.80 to the dollar, 23.94 to the pound sterling, 20.78 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $69.21 a barrel.
Traffic sluggish in the Midrand area heading towards Centurion. That is on the N1 northbound between Allendale and New Road, and heading into the Germiston CBD. Traffic heavily backed up. M2 eastbound between the Galdenes Interchange and Refinery Road.
It's a fine day in Gauteng, temperatures peaking at 19 and 20 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, marchers in KZN have called on police to intensify the fight against crime as they voice their support for Provincial Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. "702 Walk the Talk", hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, is where footsteps become footprints.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja,
Live, streaming countrywide
on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Minutes after 1 o'clock. Welcome to 702 Afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja. And it is a Tuesday, the 15th of July. The year is moving slowly but surely. Now, what is coming up on the show? I'm going to kick off by asking a simple question. Have you ever been fired? How did that go down? What did you experience? I will tell you the context and why I am asking this question. Our tech feature, we're going to talk about Twitch and it truly penetrating the African market. We'll have Sam Tech Girl Wright, who's an international esports broadcast talent and gamer. Join us for that. Series edition. We continue again with this series I'm absolutely loving on understanding civil cases and lawsuits. Saritha Finter joins us for episode 3. She's a senior attorney and director of the IIE Varsity College Law Clinics for the Inland region. And today we're talking about everyday people versus big corporates, or the typical David suing Goliath. That's what we're covering today. Our car feature, we're going to talk to Peter Niemand, National Director at the Motor Industry Workshop Association, as well as Dierwald Ranft, who is Chairman of the Motor Industry Workshop Association, around trusting your mechanic and how to spot a good one and avoid the rip-off. So I know you'll all be tuned in for that one, because everybody is always looking for a good mechanic. Get in touch with us. Give us a call on 011 883 0702. SMS us 31702. Tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 Afternoons, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702 Afternoons
With Relebogile Mabotja.
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Over the past couple of weeks, I have been having conversations with people who work in corporate. Those who know me, my friends, and those who are in this industry, sometimes I'll be like, yo, good rough sana. Maybe I must look at corporate. But over the past few weeks, the things that people are going through in corporate is hectic because of what's happening with the economy. So I've had some friends in corporate spaces who have shared with me stories about either they themselves being terminated or others being terminated. Now, it's not always terminations at corporate level. Sometimes it's terminations at your, let's say, minimum wage worker level. But after I've been having some conversations with people sharing how they've been fired, and sometimes very unfair situations, I thought, let me ask all of you if you have been fired and what that experience was like. Now, I recognize that in this category of being fired, a constructive dismissal might be considered as being fired. And that is the situation where the workplace is made so untenable for you to be there that you are driven to quit, but you can still go to the CCMA. There are domestic workers who arrive to just find that the work is just not there anymore. Now, I want to use this opportunity to not so much say, this is the process at the CCMA. We can do that on another day. I just want to hear from all of you about your experience of losing your job, of having your contract terminated, of having your job come to an end. Not just the ramifications of what it means financially, but what it has meant or can mean for all of the things surrounding it that maybe those that have not been terminated or fired have ever thought about. I'll give an example. When suddenly you don't even get an opportunity to say goodbye to your colleagues because it happens like instantaneously. Whether process was followed or not, your job comes to an end. There's a humiliation aspect to it, a reputation aspect to it. And feel free to be anonymous for this conversation. And even if you can look back in hindsight and say, you know what? I actually deserved to be fired. Like, if you can look back and say, I got fired, but it was my fault, please also share your story as well. But I'm curious about it. I work in an industry where we are contractors, we are freelancers. I have never been a permanent employee anyway. So that whole concept of being fired, I can't really relate to in the traditional sense, because I am always in the mindset that at any moment, whatever I'm working on can come to an end for a number of reasons. In fact, in the US, in Hollywood, it can be 10 times worse, where you will shoot, let's say, a series, and because after 3 episodes it doesn't do well, they just cancel it. In South Africa, that doesn't happen, where you'll shoot a series, but because the broadcaster funded, no matter how badly it's performing, they will broadcast it. In America, you can be shooting episodes, and the job just ends because people are not watching. But what happens in banks, when you run a small business, where you have been let go, and maybe you are the person who had to do the firing? How did you deal with that situation? I have found myself in situations where I've had to let people go. Fortunately, in the situations where I've had to let people go, I have had the relevant support and information as to how to do it. I've actually even called the CCMA once for information to say, listen, I need to let this person go, and I gave the information and the context, and to say, I just want to make sure I'm following the procedure. I want to make sure that everything I'm supposed to be doing is happening. But in my experience of having to let people go, I've had to learn some of the things that also people do to businesses, where they run away with equipment, where in my industry, let's say the character's going to get killed, and then they don't tell you until the day you're shooting your last scene, ukuthi uyadaya mfana. It's over. Hashtag it's over. It has happened. So share with me all of your experiences. If you were able to get recourse, or if it is an experience you came back from to say, wait, King, Relebogile, if I'm honest, those people gave me so many chances. They gave me so many chances. They wrote up warnings. I have now matured, and I have learned from that experience. And share with me, because it is tough. It is tough. I mean, I've had people where after interviews, you select the candidate. When they're supposed to start working the next day, they get accepted to another job, which maybe, let's say, pays more money. They just don't show up. It happens. But I want to hear about the part of you being let go of from your work, what that experience was like, how did you recover, and what are those unspoken pains outside of the loss of income that come with losing your job. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Mabotja.
Hi, Relebogile, Anonymous here. Yeah, getting fired, it's a thing, it happens. Constructive firing. And mine was due to, I started having mental issues due to the stress level that I was subjected to after working there for 13 years. And they constructed it, they fired me, and they were successful. It didn't look like I got fired, but I know I did, because I'm unemployed and I couldn't prove that the mental issues I was having was due to work. So it happens.
Indeed, it does happen. Keep those messages coming and give us a call as well. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Are you not worried that you are probably going to be frustrated by the system itself? I mean, if there's infiltration, does it worry you that maybe the people you will be working with may frustrate your work here?
I've got no illusions about the constraints there might be. Obviously, quite daunting.
Yeah.
The circumstances that led to my appointment are obviously deeply troubling for the country. but I wish to assure your listeners that I appreciate the weight of this responsibility and will do my best.
Professor Feroz Kachalia, the incoming acting police minister.
Clements Manyatela.
9 to 12 on 702.
Want to celebrate Women's Day in style? Then get your tickets as Grammy Award-winning singers Anthony Hamilton and Joe Thomas come together to celebrate the incredible women of Mzansi on the 9th of August. Happening at the iconic DP World Wanderers Stadium in Sandton. They'll be joined by South Africa's multi-award-winning singers, the incomparable Zonkes, Java and Vusinova. Get your tickets now on CompuTicket or webtickets.co.za. Brought to you by Soulful Night, Vertex Events and 702.
Hi, I'm Dion Free. Winning requires audacity. That's why I joined African Bank and opened a 60-month fixed-term investment account. I'm scoring 12.8% interest at expiry on my investment. How cool is that? You too can join the bank that backs you to grow your money. Pop into a branch near you or visit africanbank.co.za. African Bank. Audacity to believe. African Bank is a licensed financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Celebrate the horse racing season of champions with Hollywood bets and saddle up for sensational success. Stand a chance to win a spectacular share of over 2 million rand in prizes, including a brand new Amoda C5 or C7. All you have to do is bet 50 rand or more on any horse racing event for a shot at your crowning moment. Take the reins and get ready to gallop to grand rewards. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
When we talk about abuse, we often picture women and children, and that focus is essential. But the truth is, men can be victims too. And some men who've caused harm are ready to take responsibility and break the cycle. Tune in to 702 Drive this Thursday when the Dis-Chem Foundation opens the conversation around men and gender-based violence, from the silent victims to those seeking help and accountability. Remember, every time you swipe your Dis-Chem or Baby City benefit card, you help fund initiatives that support survivors and break destructive cycles. The Dis-Chem Foundation, caring for the community. Every swipe counts.
Your voice.
Your life.
Your afternoon radio.
On 702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Mabotja.
21 minutes after 1 o'clock, and we are talking about losing your job. Not at your own choice, but being terminated, being fired. What was that experience? 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. We go to Nomusa in Johannesburg. Hi, Nomusa.
Hi. So on my end, I think it's more about the psychological effect. Coming from the HR background, I was dismissed. Well, it was something that was cooked, but the fact of the matter is I was dismissed and I was at home for 6 months, then I secured employment. After that, when I went back to work, that's when I realized, because then I got to experience the other side of the table, the psychological effect. So much so that my first 2 hearings I had, after that it was almost as if they opened an unhealed wound. So I had to attend the counseling. So from a human capital perspective, it also helped me to look at things in another perspective, to say, okay, this person is facing this. What do I do to support? Do I call? Do I ask? Do I make reference? So right now, I'm a very sensitive person and make sure that I always support. That's what I wanted to, that will be my submission for today.
And I think when you speak about the psychological effects, Nomusa, is it the part about going home and telling family or feeling like embarrassed around your colleagues?
So it was an embarrassment from the friends because I was dismissed for something else, but then there were also talks to say that I took money, people paid me for this and that wasn't the fact. But if I look at it hindsight, I think they assisted me a lot because if I look from where I was and where I am right now, I actually progressed a lot as compared to if I stayed with the previous company. So, and also the humiliation, where do I start? When I look at my kids, I always ask myself, I don't know what am I going to feed you in the next month or so. Started a small business and it failed. And the other thing that came out of that was for me to realize how strong I am, because you never know how strong you are until the only option you have is to be strong. So and in that 6 months, forgetting about pension fund payment and even before that money comes in, with my small business, I was also able, to pay for my bond, to pay for my car, to my kids' school fees, and. But the most important part, it's two elements for me that I've learned: how strong I am, and also being sensitive when dealing with issues like this. The psychological effect, never underestimated.
Oh, Nomusa, thank you so much for sharing. I'm glad you are at a much better place than where you were. Mario in Bramley, go ahead, Mario.
Relebogile Mabotja.
How are you?
I'm great, yourself, Mami.
Good.
Good. Hey, the previous caller, actually, I think our stories are a bit similar. Actually, let me also say, full-time listener, first-time caller.
Oh, nice. We love first-timers. Yeah. Welcome to the club.
Thank you. Yeah. So with my story, Relebogile, I was in retail for like 6 years. I worked at a camera store. I was a salesman there. And then, Relebogile, also, these experiences teach you a lot about yourself. I didn't know what potential I had until I had to lose my job. And then the potential that I didn't know I have was like relating to customers and in customer service. I only realized when I worked for that company, can't take the customer. And then the job ended. But then when that job ended, I was renting, living away from good landing. I had recently bought a car. I was living now. So everything vanished. And then the only option that I had was either to go home or to do something. And then six months later now, as I'm speaking to you, I'm owner of a company called South African Camera Services. We repair cameras, basically. And then the experience that I have with cameras is from there. Yeah, so God is amazing.
Mario, how? You could be one of my suppliers. You must shepherd me with a DM for camera repairs and things. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Linda in KZN Newcastle. Go ahead, Linda.
Relebogile. I've been a financial manager in one of the companies in Pretoria. And when it happened to me, is immediately after I reported fraudulent activities by the CEO. And I was so unprepared when it happened. It happened 2 years ago. I'm still going through that phase. But I'm strong. I'm telling you. I am strong. Yes, I won the case at CCMA. But I couldn't accept the replacement, and I just decided that no, let me leave this organization because of the culture and everything. But what I'm telling you, the sad part is the implication. There are moments where my son was doing his first adversity, and that was the biggest pain for me.
Oh man, I'm so sorry to hear that, Linda. It's not an easy one to go through, especially when you are dismissed unfairly. It happens quite often. It really, really does. But I'm happy that we can create a space to share experiences. Joe from Soweto. Go ahead, Joe.
Good afternoon, Renila.
Yes.
How are you?
Good, thanks, and you?
Good. Yeah, I told the producer that I'm currently in that situation as you speak, where one day in April, my manager just decided to terminate my services. But I know what happened was a week before then, I was on leave, and then the manager started asking me questions that are relating to the job. At that time, I know I left people who must handle those issues, and I took issue with that. I said, I'm on leave, and I told you I've got some mental issues that I'm going through after the bad appraisal you gave me. So I was trying to handle that on my own, and then you keep on asking me these questions. I didn't appreciate that. But it looks like you always say, touching people in their studio, that made the person very angry. And I went there after my leave, and then from that week, all hell broke loose. The person was looking for everything against me, and she couldn't get some of the things that she was looking for, but she proceeded and asked me, I need to write a report on why she must not terminate me. And I wrote that, and within 24 hours, came back and said, now, I've seen your reasoning, and I really understand what you're saying, but the decision stands. I need to let you go. So, and it was on a Friday morning. I was so emotional, I couldn't even go say goodbye to my team. And then I just left, but the following Tuesday, I went and lodged at the CCMA. So currently, we are waiting for the date of arbitration for the CCMA. But the humiliation, I mean, I worked with this company for 31 years. So I gave all my life to this company. In fact, they are the ones who even sponsors me to go to the varsity, where I did my degree, and from there I joined them, and I started working since then. I've never worked for any other company. And the third part of it was we have annual reviews twice in a year, half year and at the end of the year. The half year review was brilliant. But then the second half, I still don't understand what went on. And then I was given a very low rating. And then from there, everything was put in motion I even told the person that what we were doing since the appraisal in the second half of the year.
So Joe, just quickly tell me, when did you say was it arbitration?
According to
mediation.
With the conciliation, remember the word called CON-UP, conciliation and arbitration. So we went for the conciliation, where the way, for me, they don't take these things serious. They didn't even have the right person to represent the company at that conciliation.
So Joe, I do need to go to the news, but in summary, where are you today?
I'm waiting for arbitration, yeah.
Okay, so you're waiting for arbitration where there'll be some kind of ruling as to whether you were dismissed unfairly or not, and they'll be ordered to do something.
Yes, that's where we are now.
Joe, we wish you all of the best with your case there at the CCMA. Thabo and Jabu, I see you, all of your messages and voice notes as we continue to talk about being terminated, being fired from your job, and what that experience brings. It's just after 1:30. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Lebo. Good afternoon. A large group of e-hailing drivers are gathered outside the Uber offices in Parktown this afternoon, demanding a response from the company over their pleas for better rates. Drivers' representatives handed over a memorandum yesterday and were promised a response by the close of business. They've returned today demanding talks with the company. South African Communist Party member Obed Tabana says he feels no pressure as the organization's first councillor candidate since it announced it will contest elections on its own. At last year's Congress, the SACP reaffirmed its decision to no longer contest elections under the ANC banner as part of the tripartite alliance. And US President Donald Trump has given Russia 50 days to end its war with Ukraine or face new economic sanctions. Trump says his patience has finally snapped with Russia's President Vladimir Putin's refusal to end the deadly conflict. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 2 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage in Midrand, heading towards Pretoria, slow-moving traffic on the N1 northbound between Allendale and U Road. Also, heading into the Germiston CBD, traffic heavily backed up. M2 eastbound between the Galdenes Interchange and Refinery Road. Otherwise, the rest of 702 land not looking too bad. No accidents have been reported on our highways. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights, though, in the Midrand area at Old Pretoria Road and Olifantsfontein Road, in Kramerville at Calvin and Bowling, as well as in North Riding at CR Swart and Malibongo Drive. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9. Tiffany Meek, accused of her son Jaden Lee's murder, has really shocked the nation. It's understood the boy's body was found outside his home, although of course nothing is conclusive at this stage, but it isn't difficult to work out. This may have been a beating gone wrong. And so, whilst many of us will say, what monster would do that to her own son, for those of you who practice corporal punishment, beware.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9
on 702.
This year, the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival presents 3 unforgettable days deep in the heart and art of jazz. From the 26th, 27th and 28th of September, Uma Sangare, Abu Bemu, Jasmine Horn, Noisemakers Trio, Meshal, Gabi Mutuba and over 50 world-class acts will be ready to welcome you and yours to 4 magnificent stages of the Sandton Convention Center. Take me there. Buy your tickets at Ticketmaster now.
What does extraordinary mean to you?
Is it enabling world-class healthcare through telemedicine?
Or empowering the delivery of water and electricity through smart meters?
AI, cloud, enterprise apps, IoT and security. One seamless ecosystem. Together, let's build the extraordinary that sustains today and protects tomorrow. Start your journey at vodacombusiness.co.za. Further together, Vodacom Business.
Formulated from 5,000-year-old Ayurvedic wisdom, refined through decades of modern science. For 95 years, Himalaya Wellness has been the trusted name in herbal care, caring for families in more than 100 countries around the world. Our clinically studied natural formulations, pure herbs, and personal care products are designed to support your health, skin, smile, and your baby's well-being. Bring the healing power of nature into your home. Himalaya Wellness. Live well, live herbal. The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Clearly moving to sort of Chinese-made, produced cars is going to be one of them, and some of that might still happen here.
To answer your question, yes, we are likely to see a growth of that because we continue to strengthen that value proposition. Also looking at, we want to ensure that we grow our manufacturing base, our production base, so that we remain competitive as well.
Dr. Paulina Mamagobo, Chief Economist at NAMSA.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Bank, a leading Pan-African bank and proud sponsor of the African Blockchain Report 2024. Absa is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Spend your afternoon
with Relebogile Mabotja
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
24 minutes to 2 o'clock, and we continue with our conversation on being terminated or fired from your job, be it unfair or even legit. Let me know about that experience. Beyond losing the stability and the financial resources that were supposed to come in, what are those unspoken things that you go through? 011-883-0702 and the WhatsApp line 072-702-1702. And maybe you're the one who had to let somebody go. What did it do to you? How did it make you feel? We go to the lines. Jabu from Dube. Hi, Jabu. Hi, Jabu.
Hi, Lebu. How are you?
Good, thanks. And you?
Yes, Lebu. How are you?
Yes, I'm good. Jabu, go
Can you
ahead.
hear me?
Yes, I can.
Lebu, with this topic, this topic is actually a very sensitive one because we are all of this pain that is caused by these employers. Mine was also, if you can listen all the guys that came before me, they were all fired unfairly, constructively, because with my side, there were allegations that were built up. I had to go to about a countless disciplinary hearing where they constructed negligence. I will count maybe for 7 HR that I had to go through up until I was admitted to a psychiatric hospital with depression. And I laid a complaint at the CCMA, your dispute resolution centers, but they couldn't help me, which is why I still say that those institutions, they are exactly the same as our SAPSE system at the moment, because I feel that they are also on a payroll on these employers. My question is, how can we be helped? How can we get justice? Because to get a lawyer to fight a case for you while we are unemployed is very difficult. Hello?
I'm not sure, Jabu, in the case of yourself outside of the CCMA, with what kind of support you can have. But what I will do is we can have a follow-up to this discussion, bring an expert in that specializes in labor issues, especially if you do feel like the issue was not dealt with efficiently at the CCMA and you don't have the option to get a lawyer and you don't maybe have access to a union to help fight for you. But let us see what it is we can assist you with on our side and bring an expert in. Some of your WhatsApp messages, there are so many. Hi 702, I was fired after all my co-workers ganged up against me. I was heartbroken. I took the case to the CCMA and the commissioner manipulated me to settle. That is from Benji. Started at a company. After 3 weeks, I was let go because I didn't tell them about all my studies. She said she was intimidated. What? It is very painful. Domestic employer has the strategy to avoid CCMA. They give you 3 months to pay and let you go. Sad thing that there are no benefits for domestic workers. I have more than 15. My heart's breaking knowing I will have UIF only. I'm assuming when you said 15, you are referring to years. I'm not clear. Relebogile, I'm here waiting for my meeting next week where I will be fired. I was told it's coming. We will sit next week. This is the hardest week ever. I have to come to work and smile knowing I'm no longer needed. Hi, Relebogile. I'm going through it as we speak, and I've actually jumped the gun to run as far as lodging grievance because my manager had a lot to say. Unfortunately, she has now denied everything she said, and the office is just the sole space while I'm taking antidepressants and other medication to cope with the toxicity. I just need a job. I'm applying day in, day out, and nothing. I'm way beyond frustrated with my current state. Relebogile Anonymous here. I was dismissed from my 7-year job because of my addiction. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and during my active days, it affected my daily life and employment. I used to drink so much that I would often skip work, making up excuses along the way. I finally admitted to my boss that I had an addiction problem, and he gave me an opportunity to go to rehab. I unfortunately relapsed after rehab, and my boss said enough, and I got fired. So in my case, I was given an opportunity and I messed it up. Addiction is one of the most difficult challenges to overcome in one's life. Thank you for owning up and taking responsibility and sharing. Addiction is not easy. Recovery is not easy at all for those that have had to live with or be around somebody who is knee deep in that. Hi, Relebogile and 702 family. I was unfairly dismissed, but took them to the Department of Labor and won the case. They paid me 3 months. I was very happy because the new boss didn't know how determined I was. Thanks for a great show as always. Hi, I got fired in 2015 by a top outsourced call center. I wish I could name and shame, but I wouldn't like to give them any publicity. The short version is that I got dismissed by a biased chairperson for a trumped-up charge. The CCMA commissioner is suspected of taking a bribe. When I flagged that to them, they firmly swept it under the carpet. Next step was to take the company to the labor court. Unfortunately, the lawyer's fees was more than I demanded from the company for unfair dismissal. Honestly, I'm angry and hope that those who dismissed me will have their day, will have their day. And it's interesting that you're speaking about taking people to court because we are going to be continuing with our series on understanding civil cases and lawsuits. And in that, we'll talk about the Davids that are taking on Goliath, the Goliaths. Hear your voice notes on 0727021702.
Hi, Relebogile. It's Anonymous here. I got fired about 8 years ago by my CEO on WhatsApp for dating his daughter, of which it was just a rumor. I was not dating her. But yeah, I got the job at a very unexpected time. And it was so very bad.
Hi, Bo, we need a story. Abutiwe, you can't leave. You can't. No, we need a story. You got fired for dating the daughter, but it was a rumor. Question number 1, did you date her? Question number 2, if you didn't date her because it was not official, were you doing other things? Question number 3, did he fire you as ubaba, as a father, or as your boss? Number 4, what recourse did you take? All right. Another message says, "Hi, Lebo. I hope you're well. I am an independent contractor, a radio host at a commercial radio station. I can already sense that my end is near because it's blatant when management is tired of you. The saddest thing about what we do is that we're never protected. I'm working hard to push my business. Ownership really seems to be the only way out. I am so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm very, very sorry that you're going through that. It is not easy doing the work that we do. Hi, Relebogile, please keep me anonymous. I'm a labor lawyer within my company, and having discussions that either separate with employees or chairing hearings is my job. It's not always easy. Sometimes it is really difficult. Sometimes employees actually have it coming. And I do agree with you. Sometimes employees do have it coming. Another person has sent through a voice note, 0727021702. We don't have a voice note. I was incorrect. And to all of the people as well that are sharing their messages about being fired and how terrible it is, and my apologies for neglecting all of you on X that have shared, to also say that you have been fired. What a terrible experience it is. It's a pity that sometimes justice in this country is for the rich. Sometimes justice is for those with access and resources, because not everybody can take people to court, especially when you're taking on a big corporate where they have in-house legal representation. You're busy paying per hour. They already have those legal fees included within their monthly overheads. But it's a tough one for those of you that have found yourselves in a situation where you were fired and are looking for a job. Keep your head up. Sometimes that very painful experience is a blessing in disguise.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
I think really momentous speech to be given by President Cyril Ramaphosa on Sunday. So what kinds of decisions might he make? What are his options?
Well, a commission of inquiry is one way of dealing with the issue. It has several advantages. It's not a perfect option. The other is to use his internal law enforcement powers, not his powers, but the state's law enforcement powers.
Advocate Paul Pretorius, advocate and evidence leader at the Zondo Commission.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
And they're off. Out front, it's Doped Up Glory, followed closely by Whipped Into Shape. Little Too Young making a surprising early push, just 2 years old and already on her second race this week. Duct Tape Dreams taking the outside lane, tongue-tied and terrified, but hey, she's fast when she's scared. Discarded Glory stumbles at the back, used to be a champ, now just waiting for the knackery truck to the glue factory. Halfway through, it's beaten again, cracking the whip literally, pushing through the pain barrier, eyes wide, heart breaking, lungs bleeding. She doesn't know she can stop. Learned helplessness, they call it. We just call it racing. And at the final stretch, it's Doped Up Glory by a nose. She's done it. She's down. She's not getting up. Oh well.
Cruelty is staining horse racing. The NSPCA is calling for the industry to sign their racing code of conduct to hashtag Rein in the Pain. Show your support at nspca.co.za/Rein in the Pain.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult, day 3,274. Every time I go to a fancy birthday dinner, I'm reminded I'm just 5 fancy birthday dinners away from financial ruin. Note to self, don't make any more born in June friends.
Recently removed from the family payroll.
Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's like 570 Rand a month, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
702.
Tech feature.
12 minutes to 2 o'clock in our tech feature for today. We're going to talk about Twitch and if it can truly penetrate the African market. Don't worry if you're like, ging, Twitch, what is it? We've got Sam Tech Girl Right to join us to help us answer that. International esports broadcast talent and gamer. Sam, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All of your calls with your questions on 011 883 0702 in the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Sam, what is Twitch?
So basically, Twitch is a social media platform that people can go on and they can live stream whatever they're doing. So it started off as a gaming place. People would live stream themselves playing games and we could watch them. It's now turned into people live stream themselves cooking. They live stream themselves sleeping. That's not even a joke. There's actual streams where someone is just sleeping.
I heard of
they
that.
Live stream themselves. Yeah.
I heard of that and I thought it was a lie. Oh my gosh.
That is a very real thing. We actually have a South African streamer who I saw was doing it and I was quite shocked. But it's just a way to live stream your life. And it's gone from gaming into, you have people that are just walking around with their phones all day, just streaming everything they do. And then obviously people have turned it into live talk shows and things like that. But it's basically just live broadcasting to a bunch of people who are watching.
So how different is it though from the other platforms that you can go live on? Like in studio, we have our cameras on where we are live to our YouTube platform. I have my other phone on where I'm live to my TikTok followers. I sometimes also go live to my Facebook on my laptop. Like, how is it different?
So the only real difference is that Twitch was the first live streaming platform, if I'm honest. And the only thing you can really do on Twitch is live stream. I think a lot of the other platforms picked up on the live streaming and jumped on that idea. So from that point of view, there isn't a big difference. The one thing that I think you can get from Twitch that maybe I've noticed that other streaming platforms have started introducing it, but Twitch also allowed you to monetize your audience. So your audience could subscribe to your channel, pay a monthly fee, which you would then get. They could also make donations in the chat to allow you to monetize that audience. But I now know that TikTok has done that. Instagram, while they haven't rolled it out in South Africa and the rest of the world, you can do it. Obviously, Facebook as well. YouTube, you get your ad revenue every month. So there isn't actually a difference. I think that's the problem is Twitch hasn't really, in my opinion, moved with the times. All these other social media platforms have jumped on the idea. And to be fair, I think they've actually made it relatively easier for some to be able to go live. Twitch has that traditional TV screen, the landscape view to watch. Whereas if you're going live on TikTok, it's really cool because I can watch you on my phone. I don't have to turn my phone around. It almost feels like you're literally there talking to me, right?
Yes, I understand exactly what you mean. So talk to me about the gaming part. At what point, because I would have never in my mind, and I think I have a little inner gamer in me, I just will never buy any device, also will not get any work done because I'll just get sucked in there racing cars or building fake houses in the gaming world. But at what point did it have that uptake of people wanting to watch people play games without wanting to play themselves? Because in my mind, I thought the part of seeing the player and the screen was so that other gamers could watch each other in the same game.
So people do watch each other in the same game, but then also folks like to watch one another. Twitch was established in 2011. But it used to actually be called something called Justin.tv back in 2007. It was meant to just be for live streaming, but gamers immediately picked up. It was a cool way to show what you were playing and how you were playing. And folks really like it. I know it's super weird for someone listening who's not a gamer. It sounds insane, right? Why
like
would
you're
you
watching
watch
someone.
Okay.
Yes,
but
explain.
I mean, the question could be posed. I'm going to dumb this right down. You do watch other people play rugby, right? And you watch
Yes.
people play football. So it's a very similar thing. The reason we watch people on Twitch is there's two types of Twitch streamers. There's people that are incredibly talented at the game. They're just levels above everyone else. So it's much like watching professional rugby players or professional tennis player. The spectacle of watching them play is insane because it's just at a level that you can't play that game. There's guys that will speed run a game. So a game that would normally take you or me 12 hours to get through, they'll speed run it in like 3-4 hours. You get to watch them do that. It's fascinating. And then on the other side, it's just personalities. Like, and I think Ninja is the most well-known commercial streamer. That was a couple of years ago. The guy with the blue hair, he was just super funny. He was a good player, but he was really funny. He was really entertaining, and people enjoyed watching him because there is a live element to Twitch where you can chat to these streamers in real time. And it becomes this thing of you're watching someone who you look up to and admire, and they're engaging with you, and they're making you laugh, and they're talking directly to you. That is the draw. And from a gaming point of view, they're playing this game that you love, which I think when Twitch first started back in 2011, gaming wasn't as popular as it is now. It wasn't as mainstream. If you were a gamer, you were considered a little bit of a nerd or a geek, right? So you found this place where there was someone who was cool. You were being told that schools say that you're a nerd, but then you could see this cool person playing this game you loved, and you felt like you had a community.
So what are the opportunities for South African creators of all kinds, even if they want to sleep? Because I just thought about something. What TikTok does when I'm like live, for example, in studio, is every hour it asks me to verify I'm still there. And I have to do a little puzzle. So the other time I went to the bathroom, I came back, it had kicked me out of the live. So I can't be on TikTok live and stream while I sleep, but I could do it on Twitch.
You could do it on Twitch, but I think this is where the barrier to entry is that Twitch requires a lot more equipment than, say, TikTok on your mobile phone. You can stream from your mobile to Twitch, but it's not optimized for that. It encourages you to be on a PC, on a laptop. So you now need the devices to do that, which are normally, big gaming rigs if you want to game and stream at the same time, something that has the processing power for that. And then also you need a very strong data connection, which was another problem. Obviously, Wi-Fi now, the routers that are out there are fantastic. You don't necessarily have to be plugged into an Ethernet cable, but those routers cost a lot of money. So for a lot of people, they're going to need fast fiber lines, consistent, and that's the most important, consistent speeds. That's all very expensive. And I think that is where the big barrier comes. We've seen South African gamers and South African streamers using other platforms because it's just financially more viable. Twitch is really cool because you can just do chatting. And I mean, love it or hate it, there is even OnlyFans models that are now using Twitch. There was a thing called the bathtub meta where they were just sitting in bathtubs in their bikinis, live streaming, encouraging people to go to their OnlyFans. There's lots of ways you can use this platform to monetize your content, no matter what you do. But if you're South African, as we know, the cost of data is so extremely high. The cost of these devices, it becomes really difficult for the average gamer or the average content creator to actually afford to utilize Twitch. And I also think for the average South African, they would much rather go watch someone on TikTok than set up Twitch and go watch on Twitch, because it doesn't feel as accessible.
I get you. So would you conclude that there still is a possible opportunity for Africa to get knee deep into Twitch and for people to earn off of it?
Oh, 100%. I think that there are people that have made huge amounts of money off of Twitch from South Africa. I think at one point the biggest Twitch streamer in Africa was a Cape Town woman called Rachel K, and she was streaming on Twitch every day. And I know that her favorite video that she ended up putting out on her YouTube channel was how she could go buy her mom a Mercedes-Benz cash, which was something she really wanted to be able to do. And that was
is Rachel K short for Rachel Kolisi? I'm just triple checking for the listeners.
No. But I mean, Rachel Kolisi should definitely try and see if she could figure out a way to jump on Rachel K's hype, right?
Because I'm like, is this a code for Rachel Kolisi? All right. And
No,
and
so
you reckon we give it a try?
I think that there is a space for it. And I do think that there are South Africans and Africans that are utilizing it really well. I just think you are going to have more of an international audience, which is never a bad thing because they donate in US dollars, which is obviously much sexier if you're earning rands.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Sam, for chatting to us. I'm so glad to hear that the one person making a lot of money, and I'll go and follow her, Rachel K, not Kolisi, I just have to clarify, is a woman. Thank you so much for joining us on our Tech Feature.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
The Correctional Services Department is investigating how alleged crime kingpin Vusmuzi Kat Matlala gained access to a cell phone while behind bars. Matlala was found with the phone during a surprise raid at the Hosimampuru prison on Sunday, and following the discovery, he was transferred to CMAX section of the prison in Tshwane. Matlala is in the spotlight again after KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi linked him to Police Minister Senzo Mchunu. Matlala is currently behind bars facing charges of attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder and money laundering.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
Play for the win with the Powerball jackpot estimated at 71 million rand this Tuesday. That is right. It only takes 6 lucky numbers for your chance to make your dreams become a reality. Don't get left behind. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 7529 hash. *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda Pusher Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Smart Steve from Momentum. Hello.
Stevie, my bro, it's me, Clinton Myers, the Minister of National Treasures.
Good afternoon, Mr. Minister. How can Momentum Insure help you?
You know, most Momentum car insurance protects the people better than a windbreaker in Cape Town.
That's true, Mr. Minister.
Listen, this no VAT economy is not helping with the cost of maintaining my Gusheshe, my tires, man.
So why don't you drive lacquer and earn lacquer with Momentum Insure's safety return?
Smart Steve! Now you are a national treasure.
Also, Momentum Insure rewards you with up to 30% cash back on your paid premiums, even if you claim.
Nee, my lighty. Is it true?
It's true, Bob, Mr. Clinton Mayers. In this economy, this cash back will go a long way.
Lekker man, Steve Bobo.
Visit momentum.co.za to get a quote. Momentum Insure, keeping you safe on your journey to success. Momentum Insure is an authorized non-life insurer and FSP. Standard SMS rates and T's and C's apply. FSP 22789.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Khomoza Modise. A large group of e-hailing drivers are gathered outside the Uber offices in Parktown this afternoon, demanding a response from the company over their pleas for better rates. Drivers' representatives handed over a memorandum yesterday and were promised a response by the close of business. They've returned today demanding talks with the company. Relebogile Mabotja is there and joins us now live. Relebogile, what are the drivers saying?
E-hailing drivers gathered outside Uber offices in Parktown say they were previously charged 20% for using the company's e-hailing service, and the rate has changed to 50%. Uber driver Florence Mogwali says they are protesting today, demanding that this affects their profit from the business too.
We don't even know what it is. Can't even explain the text what it is because they never explained it to us. They didn't. They just introduced it. So this is one of the fights that we are making. That Uber, when we came to the business, they said we are partners. But now the problem is that we are no longer partners because they are making decisions without us.
Relebogile Mabotja, Eyewitness News, Parktown.
We'll have more on that story throughout the afternoon. Marchers in KZN have called on police to intensify the fight against crime as they voice their support for Provincial Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Various organizations have taken to the streets in Durban following the explosive allegations Mkhwanazi made a week ago alleging corruption in the law enforcement agencies. The allegations pointed to Police Minister Senzo Mchunu, who's since been put on leave of absence by President Cyril Ramaphosa. Nhlanhla Mabotja has more.
A group of community members, including churches, security organizations, crime-fighting structures, and political organizations, are picketing in the Durban CBD. All this to show support for KZN Police Chief Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. They say while the allegations he made are still yet to be investigated further, they support him. Pastor Marvin Reddy.
The provincial commissioner
is the man that we want to follow, is a man that's transparent, that's righteous, that wants the truth to be public, and nobody must try and stop him, because we are here to stand with him.
The protesters will also deliver a memorandum of demands citing crime concerns in the province. They say police must intensify the fight against crime, especially in communities. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Durban.
Now, remaining on that story on General Mkhwanazi, we've just received breaking news. Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection, Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibiya, has been placed on leave of absence. Eyewitness News understands the instruction came directly from National Commissioner Fani Masemola, who tasked Deputy Commissioner Tebello Musikiri, requesting Sibiya remain at home on leave while investigations into Mkhwanazi's allegations are ongoing. We'll have more on that story as the afternoon progresses. 2 suspects arrested in connection with a mass murder in Bishop Lavis are appearing in court today. And anti-gang unit detectives made a breakthrough in the investigation yesterday when they arrested 2 men in their 20s. An 80-year-old victim is among the 2 men and 2 women who were shot and killed on Friday night. Police say 2 gunmen opened fire on the victims inside a bedroom and fled the scene in a VW Polo. Western Cape Minister for Community Safety, Anru Murray, has welcomed the arrests.
I congratulate the anti-gang unit detectives. Their determination and meticulous investigative work led to this breakthrough.
And South African Communist Party member Obot Tabana says he feels no pressure as the organization's first councillor candidate since it announced it will contest elections on its own. At last year's Congress, the SACP reaffirmed its decision to no longer contest elections under the ANC banner as part of the tripartite alliance. Tabana is the party's candidate for the hotly contested Ward 13 of Polokwane municipality. Tabiso Koba reports.
The SACP says this by-election will serve as a litmus test for its campaign in the upcoming local government elections. A win will show the party can rise from the shadows of the ANC, while a loss could potentially deflate its campaign. Carrying that on his shoulders is Obed Tabana, the SACP's councillor candidate for Polokwane's Ward 13.
We have done door-to-door, we have visited many households, and in these households we were warmly received. I don't remember being chased out of any house that I went for door-to-door. So we are very much inspired. We don't feel any pressure. We are very happy. We are very excited about it, and we believe that we are going to win this by-elections.
Tabana says what sets him apart from the other candidates is that he was born and raised in Seshego and has a long history of political activism. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Polokwane.
Gold is trading at $3,362.81 an ounce. The rand's at 17.81 to the dollar, 23.94 to the pound sterling, and 20.78 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $69.16 a barrel.
Midrand traffic sluggish N1 northbound. This is between Allendale Road and New Road. Also, slow-moving traffic if you're heading into the Protea Glen area. That's Soweto on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558, and look out for those faulty traffic lights in Edenville, Morafontein Road and Van Riebeek.
It's a fine day in Gauteng. The temperature's peaking at 19 and 20 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. We've got breaking news. Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection, Lieutenant Colonel Shadrack Sibiya, has been placed on leave of absence.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
What are the matters that matter to you?
702 listens.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja.
Live, streaming countrywide
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 2 o'clock, the second and final hour of 702 afternoons. And we're going to jump straight into it because this one's going to go quite quickly. And I hope you get your questions in early as we pick up on the series edition on understanding civil cases and lawsuits. Today we're talking about the everyday people versus the big guys. The David versus the Goliath, when the little guy is suing that big guy. Saritha Venter joins us again for this conversation. Then we wrap up with our car feature. Pieter Niemand as well as Dierwald Ranft from the Motor Industry Workshop Association will join us for talking about trusting your mechanic and how to check for a good one and avoid the ones that are ripping you off. 011 883 0702. SMS us 31702. Tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 Afternoons, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702.
Series Edition.
Series Edition time. This is episode 3. If you've missed the first 2, do not worry. PrimeMediaPlus.com or download the app to listen out for them as we talk about our series on understanding civil cases and lawsuits, particularly in South Africa. And we're joined again by Sarita Venter, Senior Attorney and Director of the IIE Varsity College Law Clinics Inland Region. And we will be talking in this episode around everyday people versus the big corporates. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. So Retha, welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for sticking with us for the series.
Thank you, Relebogile. How are you doing?
I am doing well, and I'm so excited because I think we're all learning so much from this conversation, where in episode 1 and 2, we really spoke about the overall process of how it all works, what qualifies as civil, the small claims versus now going for a lawsuit. We've touched on why in America it is what it is versus where we are today. And it's so interesting, Sarita, that when we kicked off the show, we were talking about people being fired or terminated, and so many came in to say they were unfairly dismissed. And when they got to your labor courts, your higher courts, that they ran out of money for, being able to take those cases up. And later on, we're also going to be talking about being ripped off by your mechanic. So it's all different types of legal things. But my question is this. If you are coming from having, let's say having a ruling at the CCMA for an unfair dismissal, for example, that now gets taken out of court and you start demanding whatever X amount that you want. Maybe you're like, this compromised my mental health and I'm unable to work for a year, whatever the case may be. And also just thinking about the fact that we're talking everyday people versus the big companies. What options are available to a person who cannot afford a lawyer, especially if that corporate has its in-house legal?
Yeah. I think that is the age-old question, and that's almost, I want to say, why our profession exists, is to fight for those who have been, in some way have experienced harm, or who in some way requires legal assistance. And that's truly actually the calling of attorneys and advocates, is to represent the public and protect them. So the option, it's, how long is a piece of string? But it's kind of one of those things where do you start? And I've always said the best place to start is with a legal practitioner. Go see an attorney and obtain legal advice. The reality is that not everyone can afford legal advice. And as you've correctly stated just now, is that sometimes people run out of money. So that's where legal aid and law clinics and attorneys who work on a pro bono basis or even on a contingency basis actually plays a very vital role in access to justice. That very important phrase that we use quite often. So the step, if you are in a position where you cannot afford or where you would like to exercise a right or even execute a judgment, and you cannot afford it yourself, there are actually a couple of other ways that you can do it where you can find legal representation. Whether it's at a reduced fee or for free or on a contingency basis.
Okay, so, and obviously this is going to depend on the magnitude of the case. It's not like a person can just go and ask for pro bono where their salary is 7,000 Rand a month and they're trying to get 3 months payout. That amount might not be feasible for the exercise.
Well, that depends on the, how can I say, the path that you choose. So remember, for someone, 3,000 or 7,000 rand a month is bread and butter. That's their livelihood. So in one person's world, it might not be financially worth it, but to other person, that might be their livelihood, full stop. So where attorneys normally look at contingency matters, for example, they would scrutinize the chances of success because their payment will ultimately be dependent on the success of the matter. And then also the outcome, the award that is most likely to be granted. Because on a contingency fee basis, for example, you will receive a portion of the payout. Places like law clinics and legal aid clinics, we look at merits in a different way. We look at the merits of a case, not necessarily only as to the potential award or outcome, but also, is there really merits in the matter? Meaning, what is your prospects of success? What a lot of the time, what people don't realize is, yes, you've got a right to exercise, but if your prospects of success is quite low for whatever reason, there's no evidence or, your matter is low, the chance or there's a legal risk attached to proceeding, which means you could get a cost order if you lose your matter. So if you have a low chance of success or your merits aren't that great, we at the law clinics, that's what we focus on, not really that you're going to get 21,000 Rand or 200,000 Rand or 2 million Rand. That to us, at the end of the day, doesn't matter because we don't get any of that. That goes to the client. It's more on your merits and your chances of success.
So the reason I was saying 7,000 Rand per month, not so much in relation to, it's not a big amount, but more in relation to the time, as in, because you said the merits and all of those things are what you look at. But if your legal fees were going to end up being bigger, one of the callers was saying that the reason they couldn't pursue is because the 3 months payment they were requesting ended up being less than what the legal fees were going to be. So is that even a consideration?
That is a consideration for the client to make, and that actually ties in with the topic we wanted to discuss today, in the sense that litigation has a bigger toll on it or comes with a bigger price tag than just a financial price tag. Yes, the finances is something that I always will advise a client on, and which an attorney should advise a client on in any event as to, how much you're going to pay and what your outcome might eventually be, for you to weigh that up. The chances of success is something that the client should be advised on and should consider when making a decision to proceed with litigation. But then also the emotional and social toll or price that is paid during litigation. That is something that's quite often overlooked. But ultimately, all of that, it's within the client's purview and decision. And it's things that should be canvassed between the attorney and the client so that the client can make an informed decision. But yes, finances and the financial impact on a person is definitely something that should be considered.
Is there a situation, because I know my personality type, if I were to ever go the route of a civil case, would be based on principle and not so much about, I'm budgeting on that money, if that makes sense. And maybe I'm speaking from a place of privilege. What is your view as, somebody who works in that space where we understand that a sorry is insufficient, as in businesses understand sorry when it hurts their pockets. So for me, if I were to pursue something on a principal matter, it would be a crazy amount, not because I want that amount in my account, but that's the only way that a real sorry would be then. I'm not sure if that's always the case with the David and Goliath situation.
So in the David and Goliath situation, especially principal matters, there is a time and a place for a principal matter. And if you can afford to go for a principal matter without looking at the financial outcome, then that's why we've got cases like S versus Makwanyane, where the death penalty was declared unconstitutional. Right? That was a big win. If Mr. Makwanyane didn't take it on, or if his legal representatives didn't take it on, we would have potentially still had the death penalty. I'm sure hopefully another case would have come along. But if they didn't make that leap, There's a Grootboom matter where if Mr. Grootboom didn't proceed and, take the government on, we would not have had we wouldn't have implemented the right to adequate housing, for example. There are so many cases where principal matter was fought, but I can assure you that those aren't financial cheap cases. So it's almost something that if you're going to do a principal litigation matter where you're going to go and fight for a principle of a matter, then financial gain should probably not be the thing that's pushing it. And financial gain should be something that you will have to eventually be able to sit back with and go, I'm willing to walk away from the financial gain, or the purpose of this litigation is to make a statement with regards to rights. We need to change legislation. We need to change the law in some way. The fight is bigger than finances.
Yes, but the reason that finances end up being the route to go, it's because your fight is usually with the business and not with the individual. Or you can't actually go after, like, let's say it was your manager specifically that was terrorizing you.
Yes. So that in those instances where where the perception is created that you're going to walk away with a big bank account and this person's going to be very sorry because, the corporation, something happened at work, and now you feel aggrieved and you are going to sue them for a big amount because one of the employees, the vicarious liability argument. I'm not saying it never happens, but experience has taught me that this is the exception to the rule. That in that instance, I would normally advise against litigation because the time and the effort and the money that's going to go into that litigation with the chances of success, depending on the facts, obviously, may likely exceed your chances of success, if that makes sense. The amount of what you're going to have to give up is going to outweigh the ultimate win, if you win.
Yes. Before I ask the next question, I want to open up the lines. 011-883-0702 in the WhatsApp line, 072-702-1702. Cynthia in Rudaport, go ahead.
Hi, and hi to your guest, and hi, Redi. Thank you very much for very important guests that you bring on timelessly. Thank you very much. I have a question. 12 years ago, I suffered a stroke at work on the highway, and it was the most terrifying experience. And I had hoped that my company would have put me on medical leave, and they didn't. They offered me a settlement of some sort. And hey ho, I'm still here and I'm alive, and yet I was told that I would have another stroke. You know how they tell you that if you have a stroke, the likelihood of another stroke is in the next 90 days or 90 months. I don't know what it was at the time, but it was a very harrowing experience for me. And I had children under my care, and I'm a single mother, and I was really terrified, and I never had any good advice. And looking at the amount now, I want to question it, but I don't want to litigate. I want to ask the company in a nice way. Is it possible that the person can ask in a nice way, please really look at the settlement that you gave me just to make sure that it is correct? Because the company I used to work for was an excellent example of how companies should act. But I think they gave me wrong advice. They said, if you go and claim for or medical or whatever the medical term is, they said the lawyers normally tie these kinds of things up very long, and you're not likely to get compensation.
Can I just ask you a question, Cynthia? Can I just ask you a question? Because I understand what you're trying to say. Whenever lawyers enter the picture, it feels like you're at war. But realistically, right, what would the incentive be for a company to say, oh, yes, let's relook and give you money?
I don't know. There's no incentive except for their morals and their principles, and it's a principled company. I'm just asking them to relook at it.
So The reason I'm asking you this question is because remember, Saritha will be able to advise from a legal perspective. And I think it was episode 1 where we spoke about the fact that if you are going to ask a company to do something, right? If, let's say, you say, you must relook the figure you paid me, and they just don't respond, right? What then? Because if now you want to...
I would let it go.
You would
I
let
would
it go.
I wouldn't,
Okay.
I wouldn't fight for it. I just thought, is it doable? Is it something that's doable so many years afterwards?
Okay,
That's the
so
question.
I hear you. Saritha, maybe give your legal opinion because for me, it's not yet in your jurisdiction if Cynthia is not interested in a lawyer submitting it. From my view, just from a basic understanding of how the world works, I cannot imagine a CFO in any company saying, give this person the money when they agreed. I'm assuming with the settlement, there was an agreement signed of sorts.
Yes, good day, Cynthia. How are you doing?
Oh, Cynthia has dropped off, yes, but you can continue.
Yes. I just want to first of all just express my condolences to what Cynthia has gone through. I know it's difficult. I know it's a difficult situation to be in, and these things happen. Life happens, and then we put into legal situations where we don't always know. When we sign settlement agreements, and obviously I now say this with the disclaimer that I haven't read the settlement agreement, I'm not 100% sure what's in it, but there will normally be a clause that says this is full and final settlement. Now, presuming that the settlement was in fact signed. I'm in agreement with Cynthia that you can try. She can approach the employer and see if they're willing to do an additional, settlement and see if they're willing to extend based on the situation. Again, not fully appraised of the situation, but there's no harm in asking. It might well be that her claim has been terminated or has been fully exercised because of the fact that it was a full and final settlement, which means that she will no longer have a legal claim or a legal basis to claim against the employer. I would like to ask, was this during the course of employment? If it was, then there might be a potential COIDA claim. Was there ever a COIDA claim considered? So there's a lot of other avenues and stuff that I would advise Cynthia, but unfortunately I don't have all the facts. But yes, I agree that if there was a full and final settlement, as you've indicated, then unfortunately there's no legal leg to stand on anymore, but you can always ask.
Anonymous is asking, and I see our conversation is now steering towards the work stuff because of our conversation earlier. But Anonymous is asking, shouldn't the litigation costs be automatically awarded to the employer when it's proven that it's unfair dismissal?
When it comes to costs, and depending on your forum, so in other words, CCMA, Labour Court, wherever you are, there is a general rule that says costs follows the losing party, meaning that whoever loses, whether it's the employer or the employee, the losing party will pay the other party's costs. That's our base rule that we work with. But it could be that costs be awarded to a specific party even though they are not necessarily the losing party. So there is no hard and fast rule that says the employer should pay it. And unfortunately, based on circumstances, sometimes the employee might have to pay the costs of a matter, even if the employee, even if there's an unfair dismissal. But if there's an unfair dismissal, again, depending on the forum, the CCMA isn't as readily or eager to award costs as the Labour Court would, for example. The CCMA would rather avoid a cost order if possible, or not grant a cost order if possible because of the nature of the forum.
Okay, so in terms then of, let's go the very extreme, the Vodacom Please Call Me case, for example, which is probably one of the most publicized of lawsuits. With where it is at the moment, and I know, we are just speaking very high level. From your view, with what the settlement that was offered was in relation to what was calculated, from what I saw, it sounded like a figure that could bankrupt that entire company. Now, this is still an ongoing matter because the wheels of our legal systems run very, very slowly. I'm curious as to your view on that, because that is a very big David and Goliath type of case that we are watching in real time that's been going on. Has it been well over a decade already?
Yeah, no, it's been long. I think a lot of the people in today's day probably don't even know what Please Call Me is.
Yep. Yep.
And that gives away our age a little.
Yep.
So in that matter, that's probably a very good principle matter to use. And I remember using WhatsApps when I was, when cell phones just came in and we didn't have airtime.
Oh, you mean Please Call Me's?
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Please Call Me. Yes. Sorry.
You could even change where it says "Please call me," and you could change it to say "Good night, my love."
You could put your name in,
yes.
so it would say "Please call."
Yes, you could.
That was very. So the order that was granted, as far as I understand, and please don't quote me on this 100%, but the order that was granted was in respect to a total percentage of the total revenue that was made on that service. Something like between 5 and 7.5% of the total revenue that was generated from the service, from the Please Call Me service, which is, like you say, quite a substantial amount. So in that matter, if I was the attorney of record, with the offers that have been made to so far, the question is, where do you settle? This matter can go on for years and years and years. What is going to be enough for you as the client? I think it was Makate, if I'm not mistaken.
Makate,
who's the claimant in the matter, or the plaintiff in the initial matter. I believe there's been demands up to 9.4 billion rand. How much is enough? How much is, what if the next matter is taken on appeal, and you run again a risk? I believe the next step is constitutional court, which is the last court of the highest court in the land. So after the constitutional court, what is the risk that you're going to take along with it, and how long can you continue this fight? When do you draw the line and go, okay, 9 billion is enough, or 80 million is enough?
Can I give my 2 cents, Saritha, before you wrap up? So, because I think what you're asking becomes the question that anybody that finds themselves in a David Goliath situation would be confronted with. If at some point the Goliath in the situation says, this is what we're offering you, the attorney or the lawyer will say, well, are you willing to wait another 2 years to get anything, or you're willing to take this? In the case of Mr. Makate, there's a part of me which feels like if that were me, I would want to go out guns blazing. Like, we've been waiting for what, 15 years? Let's take it all the way, right? Because we're here now, and and for me, but at the same time, like you say, from a legal perspective, you might look back and maybe even the lawyers working on the case, what was the word that you used, that they are basically committing to give their time to get a percentage of the... Yes. So let's say the lawyers then also say, listen, I'm about to retire. I need my monies now. They would advise similarly to what you are, which is, when is it enough? But I almost feel like a case like that has gone past it being about the money. It's become about the principle.
And that's the point. So if the money is the principle, then obviously the next step is constitutional court. If the principle was winning, being able to say that the court agreed with us, we are right, Vodacom owes us money, it's irrespective of the amount, but the principle is that a big giant can't steal intellectual property, for example, and if they do, they will be reprimanded, then the principle has been met. Then we have proven the principle, haven't we? But then, then obviously then it's not about the money. That's about the actual true principle, not allowing Goliath to step on the small man.
I got you. And definitely no shade to Vodacom, no shade to Mr. Magadi.
No,
We're just
no.
using this case as an example. So please ignore the rough estimates and figures. Please do not quote us. We're just using this as a very public case as an example of a David and Goliath situation. Sorry, I'm so late for the news, but we're definitely going to get you back next week as we wrap up our series in this particular conversation around lawsuits and civil cases. For all of the questions that are coming through, we will move them into the next one. It's just after 2:30. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon. Apologies for the delay, EWN. What's happening?
Thanks, Leva. Good afternoon. We begin with this developing story. Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection, Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibiya, has been placed on leave of absence. Eyewitness News understands the instructions came directly from National Commissioner Fani Masemola, who tasked Deputy Commissioner Tebello Musikiri requesting Sibiya remain at home on leave while investigations into General Ndlandla Mkhwanazila's allegations are ongoing. The Umkhonto weSizwe party says it's heading to the Constitutional Court to challenge a decision to appoint an interim police minister. The party says there's no provision in the Constitution for a minister to be placed on special leave or for two ministers to be appointed to the same portfolio at the same time. And the Kremlin has responded to US President Donald Trump's threats of new economic sanctions. Earlier, Trump had given Russia 50 days to end its war in Ukraine or face severe tariffs. But Russia has responded, saying Trump's statements are serious and require further analysis. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at 3 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this hour, if you're driving through Sandton heading towards Midrand, there's slow-moving traffic on the M1 northbound between Greyston Drive and the Batlu interchange. Also further up the N1 north in the Midrand area, traffic is sluggish. This is between Ellendale Road and New Road. Otherwise, the rest of 702 land not looking too bad. No serious accidents have been reported. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights in Alex at Far East Bank and Marlborough Drive. Traffic lights still not working in Rand Park Ridge at Bayers Nordia and the N1. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
702 delivers
On the matters that matter to you.
I'm Nathan Ilunga. I'm Congolese. And one thing I love about 702 is the open line on Clement Manachela show and the healing hour. Overall, what I like most about the station is the different topic they cover. They broaden your mind and push you to think. They help you to become a critical thinker. So that's why I listen to 702.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
so we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
Did you know that the CSIR International Convention Center has over 40 years' experience in hosting international, local, and national business events? Located on a tranquil campus in Pretoria East within the knowledge hub and science diplomacy capital, the city of Tshwane. This fit-for-purpose convention center is ideal for your association, congress, or other business events. For more information, visit csiricc.co.za. That's csiricc.co.za. The CSIR International Convention Center, where smart minds meet.
Did you know you can use your printer to go paperless? Let Nashua show you the real power of our modern printers. With the latest in print technology, you can scan, file, organize, and share your documents intelligently and securely in the cloud. Talk to us about taking your business digital. Nashua, more than print.
Year in, year out, we're fixing tires faster than a Formula One pit crew. My team is on top of things like tire whisperers. If an unforeseen accident were to happen in my workshop, at least I've got My Way business insurance to keep the wheels turning.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
PG Glass Repair, PG Glass Replace.
I'm Telane from PG Glass.
Got a chip? We'll fix it with precision, and we offer cash deals on high-quality new windscreens.
Visit pg.co.za today for trusted service.
When we talk about abuse, we often picture women and children. That focus is essential. But the truth is, men can be victims too, and some men who've caused harm are ready to take responsibility and break the cycle. Tune in to 702 Drive this Thursday when the Dis-Chem Foundation opens the conversation around men and gender-based violence, from the silent victims to those seeking help and accountability. Remember, every time you swipe your Dis-Chem or Baby City benefit card, you help fund initiatives that support survivors and break destructive cycles. The Dis-Chem Foundation, caring for the community. Every swipe counts.
Coming up
On 702 Drive with John Perlman.
702 Drive is coming up from 3 to 6 p.m. with John Perlman. John, how are you doing?
Doing well, thanks. Good afternoon to you and the listeners, and I hope you are well too.
Have you ever been fired?
Fined?
Fired.
Oh, fired?
Yes, terminated, fired, ever in your career.
I don't know if I would call it in my career. I mean, I have been retrenched, which is different.
Yes.
I assume you're not asking me that.
Yes.
But one of the very first jobs I had was working for my mom at her office, and she fired me. Not only did she fire me, but she fired me in the car on the way to the office, and I kind of, was very happy to be fired. That's a whole long story. But I also had to walk home.
What? Why were you fired?
I think I was arguing back about the job. I mean, it was not a complicated thing I'd been hired for, and it was a holiday job.
Yes.
But I don't know if this counts as a firing in your terms, but there was filing, and I felt a lot of the stuff I was being asked to do was just repeating stuff I'd already done. So I kind of pushed back, and I got fired.
And then had to walk. I'm sorry, the best part is that you had to walk home.
Yeah, I think it was a couple of Ks we'd covered. That's how long it took us to argue the point.
Does it count? Because now that you mention, I used to work at my dad's business. Here's my question. If I was not getting paid, does it count as being fired?
It's a good question. for a law. Yes, I don't think it counts.
So I didn't get fired per se, but what I can tell you is back then in Soshanguve, my dad owned a bottle store and all of us would work there during the holidays and the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started maturing and then the boys would come just to greet and not buy anything, he sent me to the back to count money. And then I was no longer at the front.
That's not a
And then I stopped. No, then I stopped. A cater deployment in the business. I stopped getting asked to go to work. So, I need to actually take this up to the CCMA and get my father in to explain. But yes, when the body changed and maturing happened.
Why don't you make him a cup of tea and see if you can square it away and then report back? Because I know Abel and I are very keen to know what happened.
Why didn't you challenge your mother about the firing?
How long have you got? No, I was, in a way it was mutual, but I was fired. I was definitely fired.
That's so funny. What's coming up in your show today?
So there's obviously a lot of discussion still about the national dialogue and how exactly it's going to work. We're going to talk about it to Rolf Meyer because he has been, he was involved in South Africa's first big negotiation at CODESA. And I'm looking forward to chatting to him about what he sees as similarities here. But to be honest, what I see as very significant differences. There's a strike of Uber drivers. We're going to get into that in more detail sometime after 3 o'clock. Relebogile Mabotja has been out following that story. Looking forward to talking to her. Mia Milan at Begisisa, which is a health news agency. They've been looking at this at a drug called Lenacapavir, which can be used as an HIV/AIDS prevention drug as opposed to an antiretroviral. South Africa is looking to procure that as part of our strategy to deal with the cutting off of US aid money for our other AIDS programs. But there's some real complications. And Mia's going to be in to talk about that sometime around 10 to 4. Speaking of the United States and the pressure being put on our country in various ways, the motor industry taking serious strain as the tariffs loom ever closer and bite harder. We'll talk to someone who's involved not in making cars, but in making vehicle components. That's a crucial industry as well. We'll get their perspective sometime around at 20 past 4. And then we're going to ask our listeners, what was in your school lunchbox?
Oh.
Did you like what was there? Or did you find yourself out there having to try and negotiate? Find someone who wanted your fish paste sandwich
So
or their apple.
we were forced to make our own lunch
Oh,
boxes.
not bad. I wish I'd been.
Yes, so my older brother had to help me make mine.
Right.
And I'm talking from like 7, 8 years old.
Mhm.
We had a helper and everything, but we were not allowed to ask. It was part of, so we could make what we felt like. There'd be days you'd feel like having eggs or a chip sandwich or hot dogs.
Hot dogs?
Yes. We'd have hot dogs, or there was an era of special polony,
Yes.
special polony, a special garlic polony. There was that era with cheese and butter, and I would then help my younger brother make his lunch boxes, but we had to decide what we wanted. My mom's like, there's the kitchen. When it was grocery shopping time, you sort of say the things you want for breakfast and for lunch, but they didn't help us. So you never got surprised when you opened your lunchbox. You packed it yourself.
Okay. Well, there's one story already. One in the bank.
There we go. We'll tune in 702 Drive with John Pullman coming up from 3 to 6 p.m.
Join Food Forward SA for our annual Mandela Day packing event on 18 July at the Expo Centre, Nasrec, Johannesburg. Volunteer 67 minutes of your time to help sort and pack nutritious food for vulnerable communities. Book your spot now at webtickets.co.za for 67 Rand and take action to honour Tata Madiba's legacy. Food Forward SA, securing quality food, nourishing lives.
You and your two besties have been belting out the same song since you were 6 years old.
Don't you feel like a cry?
30 years later, and that song will be sung live in New York City.
Don't you feel like crying?
Imagine.
Don't you feel like a cracker, crying?
Now imagine buying 3 Golden Circle tickets to the show. Ladies, we ride a door.
Oh yeah.
Invest early. You'll be so happy you did. Coronation. Trust is earned. Coronation is a registered FSP.
And they're off. Little too young, barely too, racing injured. Here comes whipped into shape, running on pain. Duct tape dreams on the outside, tongue-tied and terrified. And now discarded glory, limping to avoid the glue truck. It's beaten again, crop flying, lungs bleeding. And it's doped up glory, gets it by a nose. Now that's racing.
Cruelty is staining horse racing. The NSPCA is calling for the industry to sign their racing code of conduct. Show your support at nspca.co.za/Rein in the Pain.
702.
The car feature.
15 minutes to 3 o'clock in our car feature today. We are talking about spotting a good mechanic and avoiding the ones that will rip you off. And I know this is quite a big topic of conversation. So we have got the right experts to join us for this. Pieter Niemand, National Director of the Motor Industry Workshop Association, and Dewald Ranft, who is Chairman of the Motor Industry Workshop Association, that we shorten to MIWA. This is one that we mention at times together in our consumer rights feature with Wendy Nola. So we take your calls on 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 702. Pieter and Dewald, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Afternoon, Lebo. Thank you for having us.
Wow, did you rehearse
Lebo.
that at the same time? Let's jump straight into it. Pieter, I want to find out from you, what are some of the common complaints that you see from customers when it comes to dealing with mechanics?
Okay, Lebo. So, this is a very important topic. So, again, thank you for the opportunity. So, unfortunately, many customers fall victim to dishonest practices. and I don't think it's because they're careless. It's just because they don't know what to look for. So certainly some key talking points that we can look at is the first one is unnecessary repairs. Sadly, there are some unscrupulous workshops that would add repairs that aren't needed. So especially when the customer is not so familiar with vehicle mechanics and so on. And then another common one is the overcharging for parts. Some people would quote for genuine parts and then fit cheap or second-hand parts instead, or even adding huge mock-ups, without disclosure. I think that's the biggest thing. And then also, sadly, skipping the work altogether. So sadly, some customers pay for services like oil changes or part replacements, and then it's never actually done. So those are the common ones.
Okay, so then on your side, Dewald, can you share with us what are the most common mistakes that we make as customers when dealing with mechanics?
Yes, I can. Okay, so the most common mistakes, I think, when we deal with mechanics is, first of all, where you look for. Obviously, a reputable workshop and premises is accredited workshops is where you'll find a proper and good technician. It should be in a professional environment. You can tell a lot by what you see: a clean and well-organized workshop, branded signage, technicians in uniform, working lift tools, all of the bells and whistles to do the job properly is also very important.
Okay, and I think you are touching on some important things there. Peter, in terms of the paperwork, if a person wants to say, hey, I'm asking for a quote, but can you also send me your certifications or whatever else, what is that paperwork we should be asking for from mechanics?
Lebo, what's very important is for customers to have peace of mind. So, as Dewald rightfully said, when you would like to choose a workshop where to take your car to, we recommend that guys look for a accredited MIWA or RMI workshop, because that's your first port of call. Because then this accredited workshop, they comply with specific standards. They've got the right qualified people. And yes, to your question, what to do to check paperwork and a bit of homework on your side. So when MIWA members, when they get their accreditation, when they comply, they get what we call, they receive a MIWA accredited certificate. And on that certificate is a QR code. So that's a very good way for people to check if that specific mechanic is in good standing, meaning that they are a paid up member of the organization, and they are active on our database. So you simply take your phone, you scan the QR code, and that will just tell you, but this member is active and they are a current member of MIWA and the RMI. So that's the first port of call.
Okay.
If I can just add the obviously that accreditation is when we as a MIWA workshop get accreditation, you should have in your employment a qualified artisan technician. So if you see that specific accreditation, you'll have a peace of mind knowing that the people working on your cars is definitely a qualified technician.
So, okay, Peter, let me come back to you. How or where can you go to assess whether what you're being quoted for is market and industry related? So let's say somebody says, and you touched on the one of unnecessary repairs, which I think a person can go and get a second opinion, if we're going to call it that, to compare without saying, hey, this is what this person said is wrong. What do you think? Just taking it and getting a fresh eye. But if you're sitting with a quotation which is got things that you just do not understand because it is technical, it is not your industry, where can one go to check, hey, does it make sense that these people are charging me 80,000 Rand, 27,000 Rand, whatever the case may be for this particular repair?
Yes, Lebo. So the first thing I'm going to say is that, when a customer receives a quotation, I think it's important that you're comfortable with the quote. And it should be itemized. It should spell out exactly what you're in for. Because that's important, because before a workshop can start with any work, you as the customer need to give authorization for them to proceed. So I would suggest, if you see something and there's a red flag, you feel uncomfortable, you see something is not good here, customers are welcome to contact us. We can, just contact we've got 5 RMI offices in the country, so they're welcome to contact us, contact MUVA specifically, and we will help those customers. We have in the 5 different regions, we have a MUVA committee that's very relevant to that specific region, and those are just normal workshop owners. And they serve on these various structures and committees of the RMI and MUVA specifically to represent members and their rights. But they also fulfill a very important role in assisting us, because they're technical, they're qualified, they work with these things every day. So they certainly help in that way.
Okay, there's a question from D here who says, can I ask, when a workshop recommends an oil flush on a regular service, is it a scam? From DD, I know we don't have all of the information, so we're going to have to answer in a very general way. Peter, can you take this one? Oil flushes on vehicles, how often are these supposed to happen? Because we also know on regular service, there are times where they do notice that, hey, you need to do an oil flush.
Lebo, can I pass this on to Dewald?
Yes.
Because he's the qualified technical man next to me.
Dewald?
Yes. So normally the technician that works on the car would decide whether to do an oil flush or not. Sometimes just by lifting the oil cap, you'll see a carbon buildup, a residue within the cylinder head, and that might be why the technician wants to flush the engine. Having said that, it's not always necessary to flush an engine on a normal oil change, but depending on how the oil looks like when you start taking it out.
All right, we are opening the lines very, very quickly. Let us take Keith in Ethel. Keith, hi, how are you?
Hi, fine, just
Yes.
a quick one for your guests. Two issues. I'm just trying to understand, when you go send your car for service, for example, you get the parts listed and the parts have been marked up. So I just want to know, what is the reasonable markup for the parts? So they don't charge you what they're purchasing at, obviously. And the other one is, what is a reasonable hourly rate for a mechanic?
Oh, that's a good one, because those labor costs can actually look like they're getting quite expensive. Dewald, do you want to take the first one? Reasonable markup on parts?
Yes, I can certainly take the first one. The normal run-of-the-mill, it's about 20% markup. Also depending on what discount structure the workshop has with his suppliers, but the normal run-of-the-mill would 20% would be fair, I think.
Okay, and then I'm not sure, Peter, are you going to take the other one around the hourly rates for mechanics?
Yeah, sure, Lebo. So there's just a couple of things that somebody needs to take into mind here. The first very important thing is that we are governed by the Competitions Act. So we're not allowed to tell any workshop, you should ask this, you should ask that. The important thing is all workshops are different. They're not equal. They're different in size. Some workshops will have 1 or 2 mechanics or qualified people. Some will have 1, some will have 4. So it's all about size. So what they charge per hour will certainly be influenced by that. And then another factor is the fact that some guys really specialize in certain models, certain work that they do, and that would also require more specific diagnostic and specific tools. So those are just some factors that you need to take into account. But the fact is that as an association, we're not allowed to prescribe to our members, what they should ask and what they should not ask per hour.
Oh, we're going to have to leave it there, gentlemen, but I think we might have to bring you back in because so many people have so many questions. If you would like to find out more about this particular association, it's the Motor Industry Workshop Association. And if you head over, their website is miwa, miwa.org.za. You can even look for a workshop there or get in touch with them via the site.
To live wealthier, you need to be able to grow your assets. At Standard Bank Private, you get a team of internationally acclaimed financial experts to advise you on local and global investment strategies. Plus, being with a leader in home loans, you can start expanding your property portfolio. So, come live wealthier with Africa's best private bank. Apply online at standardbank.co.za. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Play for the win with the Powerball jackpot estimated at 71 million rand this Tuesday. That is right. It only takes 6 lucky numbers for your chance to make your dreams become a reality. Don't get left behind. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda Pusher Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
It's your last chance to win with the Checkers XXL Jackpot competition. Plus, save on deals like Coca-Cola Original Tasteless Sugar Cold Drink 2 litres, 2 for 45 Rand. And Nivea Body Lotion or Cream selected variants, 400 mils for 56.99. Remember, simply buy any 3 participating products, swipe your extra savings card and get a scratch card to enter the competition. Deals valid until Sunday at Checkers.
Relebogile is on X at Relebogile M.
Thank you so much for joining us on 702 Afternoons, primemediaplus.com, or download the app. And our email address, 702afternoons@702.co.za, for comments, contributions, topics, and the like. It's 3 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Shadrach Sibiya placed on leave of absence, and the Kremlin deems Trump's threats on sanctions serious. Good afternoon, I'm Khomoto Modise. Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection Shadrach Sibiya has told Eyewitness News that he'll gladly comply after being placed on leave of absence for the betterment of the SAPS. The decision to place Sibiya on leave came directly from National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola. Absence for the betterment of the SAPS. The decision to place Sibiya on leave came directly from National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola. The National Commissioner has tasked Deputy Commissioner Tebello Musikiri to request that Sibiya remain at home on leave while investigations continue into allegations made by KZN Police Commissioner Ndlandla Mkhwanazi. Sibiya's suspension falls on the back of a series of explosive allegations by Mkhwanazi 2 weeks ago. Oren Singh reports.
Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection Shadrach Sibiya has welcomed the decision to be placed on leave pending investigations into damning allegations made by KZN police boss Ndlandla Mkhwanazi. Speaking exclusively to EWN, Sibiya says he has no objection on the decision.
As for now, I've been asked to say we are not suspending you, but because there are investigations ongoing, we suggest that you stay at home. And this is what I've accepted as well. And I'm happy to do so.
Mkhwanazi alleged that Sibiya colluded with an information peddler from the Northwest, Brown Mokgotsi, and Police Minister Senzo Mchunu to have the KZN Political Killings Task Team disbanded. In response, Spear labeled Mkhunazi's allegations as baseless lies, claiming the KZN top cop is angered by the arrest of crime intelligence boss and close ally Dumisani Khumalo. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
At the same time, the Umkhonto weSizwe party says it's heading to the Constitutional Court to challenge a decision to appoint an interim police minister. The party says there's no provision in the Constitution for a minister to be placed on special leave or for two ministers to be appointed to the same portfolio at the same time. The party also does not support the establishment of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
The MK party wants President Cyril Ramaphosa to fire Minister Senzo Mchunu, saying there's enough evidence to show he's misled Parliament and the country on several occasions. MK parliamentary leader John Hlophe says the party has approached Parliament's Ethics Committee to investigate Mchunu.
We're dealing with a minister here who has serious allegations with a history of lying. I have openly called him a pathological liar. When it comes to lying, he excels indeed.
Hlophe says court papers are already being drafted to approach the country's top court to challenge the appointment of Feroz Kachalia to head the police ministry while Mkhunu's on leave.
The issues are of such a serious nature. There is so much at stake. We can't go to the High Court and waste time.
The MK party says a commission of inquiry into the police is a waste of time and taxpayers' money, and the police commissioner should act on the allegations made against senior officials who are reportedly stalling investigations. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
A child has died in a shack fire in Wallerstein in Cape Town. Emergency services responded to the fire this morning, which took over 2 hours to extinguish. About 80 people have been left displaced. Cape Town Disaster Risk Management's Sonika Latachan.
Our fire services did go out to attend to the fire, and our disaster risk management officials as well